Welcome back, you guys, and welcome to people who are new tonight. My name is Chloe Ballatori. I'm a relationship and communication expert. I'm a graduate of Princeton University and Pat Allen's Want Institute. I teach tools of transactional analysis as created by Eric Byrne. I teach the tools of androgynous semantic realignment as created by Pat Allen. And I teach tools that I've created myself because I've been doing this work for over a decade now. I'm also over 20 years married. So everything I'm going to teach you, in addition to it being backed by established scientific and psychological principles, I have also done myself and have taught to, I guess, probably thousands of people at this point. So I have my own personal experiences and success with it as well. I'm going to give a brief background of the scholarship that this work is based on and some of basic tools, but mostly we're going to spend time answering your guys' questions because, I can give you a lot of theories, but ultimately it's really about matching those theories with what's happening to you in your life. And then we have kind of a unique opportunity to do that with this work. This work is very results oriented. If you want to see a change in your life, you're in the right spot. Um, I know for me, when I started this work, I was skeptical, but I had seen an incredible change in a neighbor where she went from being a single mom and not really having a job, um, to, making a lot of money and getting married. And when I saw that, it impressed me and I wanted to try what she was doing. I had had my own experience with traditional therapy. And in traditional emotive therapy, you talk and you get your feelings reflected back to you. And that's valuable and important, but you often don't see a lot of change from that experience. And so that's why I love this work, is because you really get to see change um, that you often don't see in traditional therapy. And in fact, I've never really seen results from any modality the way that I've seen results from this work. Okay, so what is this work? What are we talking about? What's androgynous semantic realignment? When we talk about relationships, especially successful relationships, we're talking about the balance of complementary energies. That's complementary with an E. And that means that you have qualities that your partner doesn't have, and your partner has qualities that you don't have. And often this is broken down or categorized, organized as yin yang energy or feminine and masculine. Okay. Feminine energy, there's a lot of confusion about what feminine and masculine energy is. So I'm going to give a brief definition of that now. But we're all of us both. All of us have a feminine side, which is the right brain, which is the center of feelings, which is the seat of creativity, sensuality, sexuality. This is the world of magic. This energy is in the world to make it fun, but it's not of the world. Okay, this is receiving energy, passive, patient, vulnerable. And all of us also have a left brain, which is the seat of thoughts and specifically single mindedness. This is competitive, conquering, controlling. This is our masculine side, taking care of, doing, giving. Most of us are in our masculine at work, and we live in a very masculinized society. One of the things I work on a lot with people is especially women who want to be more feminine, and want to essentially enjoy their life a little bit more and not get burnt out, um, and not be a mommy to their partners. I help these women, and myself has been included in that group. I help you turn off that masculine side so that you can be in your feminine in your relationship so that you don't get burnt out and that you don't have to do everything, right? Feminism has been a great thing for the economics of being a woman, getting closer to equal pay, getting more opportunities in the workplace. But it's not really a psychological movement. And there are differences between men and women. As I just described, there's a difference between feminine and masculine. This is duality. This is what we experience here on earth. It's like the two sides of a magnet. We have night and day, we have black and white, we have all the gradations in between, and feminine and masculine is just like that. All of us have an authentic feminine and masculine balance within ourselves and then in relation to other people. Now, often this authentic balance gets thrown off when we have childhood trauma, specifically occurring between the ages of 0 and 12. And the things that happen to us between the ages of 0 and 12 have a special power over us because they occur in critical developmental windows. Human children are incredibly dependent. And so we often, as children, need to sacrifice our authenticity in order to attach to the humans who are taking care of us and running the refrigerator. Now, this produces in us coping mechanisms. This adaptation is a coping mechanism. And we then conclude that they are existential truths, but they're really not. They're really strategies of the moment. And often it's these coping mechanisms that we carry into adult life that have served us incredibly well. One example is overachieving up to a point, and then it gets to a point where it starts to sabotage us. And so I really help people a lot with discovering what their authentic thoughts and feelings are and acting on those so that we can discard some of the scripts of a traumatic childhood. Almost everybody has some kind of trauma in their childhood. And certainly, if you have problems in relationships, that's almost always where your trauma will show up, is in your most intimate relationships. The psyche will seek to recreate those scenarios that traumatized you in childhood in order to heal them. But you will be doomed to repeat the same scenario and the same behaviors as long as you don't understand what they are and you don't have an awareness of them. And so, what we work on first is finding that awareness of what the patterns are. And then once you have that awareness, you can start to take counteraction against those injunctions, against those scripts. So that's kind of an overview of my work. I work with men, I work with women, I work with couples, I work with teenagers. I do this meetup once a week. And it is recorded for my podcast and will be available on YouTube for you guys to check out and check in with. A lot of people enjoy hearing the recording afterwards because every information sinks in deeper. I know for me, I didn't really understand this work when I first learned it. Um, but again, I saw an incredible result. Something resonated, so I stuck with it, and gradually through repetition, I began to see the logic of it and the power of it and why it gets such good results. And then once I started seeing that, I started getting good at it. And I realized I could teach it to other people ultimately. And obviously, so did my mentor, Dr. Pat. And that's kind of what started me on my journey. Once I saw that I could help people in this way, I really wanted to do it and to pursue it. So that was it's like 12 years ago. Um, okay, so my specialty is dating and relationships, but I also help people with family problems. I love to hear your updates so we can follow up on how you guys are using some of these tools and how to implement them further. I teach this work several times a year, usually. Here, I'll put my credentials in the chat again. In smaller groups where I teach my books, I've written 4 books on this subject, and we really get detailed and we really get into it in terms of looking again at the theories and then then marrying those with the events and what's happening in your life. We can only do so much in this meetup, right? But we do get to introduce the tools, and you will start to learn if you keep coming and hearing this information. Okay. So now I'm going to open it up to you guys for questions, which is my favorite part. Um, you can ask me about love and relationships, but again, I I also work with people on other topics as well. Hi, Sophia.
Oh, hey. I always
Welcome
look
back.
forward.
Oh, and
Yeah.
you guys can raise your hand or you can put a question in the chat. Okay. So shoot, how can I help you?
Oh, I've been thinking a lot about childhood trauma, and every time I look back 6 months in the past, I think, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you didn't enter the dating pool. And even like 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, like every day I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe who I was yesterday.
Oh,
Would
that's
you
such a what? That's so
yeah,
wonderful to hear.
it
So
is, but it's
so
also
you're
like
really
scary.
changing. This is really helping you.
Uh-huh, it is, and I have a fearful avoidant attachment style, and I'm working on becoming more securely attached, and some days I am securely attached, and then other days, like, I'm totally true blue FA, and I'm just, like, wondering, like, is there, in your opinion, like, a point in time where you, like, think, "Okay, this person's ready," or, like, you should like, where do you say, like, a person's ready to date if they have, like, attachment issues and trauma?
Well, first of all, it's totally normal what you're describing. Progress is not linear. It's not a straight line. So it's normal that you are taking a few steps forward and then maybe having not so great of a day and then taking a few steps forward and then, it's like I said, it's not a straight line. It's a little up and down, but it's an overall arc of progress. So don't get freaked out if, like you said, you feel insecure and avoidant, you know, uh, on one day after you've had a few good days of feeling secure. Um, I always think it's best to get back out there as soon as you can because it's very hard to truly heal outside the context of a relationship. But you can feel it out, especially, I know you're working on your feminine side. And so part of that is listening to your body, listening to your instincts, listening to your intuition. If somebody, I think last week or the week before, we talked about doing more things that you enjoy just to meet more people in general. So I think if you just keep doing that, and if you meet somebody that tickles your fancy, now you have the tools, you know how to flirt. You can start doing that, the eye contact and the smile. Um, and you'll see what happens organically. You kind of have to leave some of that up to God, right? Anyways, even if you feel ready, you still might not meet someone right away, and vice versa. Sometimes you don't feel ready, but you meet someone and then that motivates you to be ready.
Yeah. I've downloaded plenty of fish, but I'm just too scared to, like, actually, like, do it. And I hope that I could meet someone in person, but I just have that in the background, maybe as, like, almost as, like, a symbolic picture on the wall. I really don't
Right.
wanna do it. I don't
Right.
like online.
I know a lot of people have online dating horror stories, and my position is always to first do the in person and then you can add to it with the online. So if you do decide to add to it, you can just see if it's for you or if it's not, and just try not to take it too seriously if the algorithm doesn't appear to be on your side. In general, I think you get rewarded for making efforts and doing things that show that you're interested in meeting people. But at the same time, if, a lot of my clients, and we've heard a lot of people in this group say they've had negative experiences on dating apps. So it can become a point of diminishing returns, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I've always had negative experiences in the past. But
Yeah.
I just figured, like, if I try a different app and, like, come at it with a different approach, like, don't just swipe all night and kind
Yeah.
of apply, like, the principles of, like I'm pretty good at sussing out someone's attachment style, and not just attachment style, but, like, red flags or green flags.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah,
I'd
sometimes
rate myself C.
sometimes it's also good to, like, set a time limit, you know?
Mhm.
Like, maybe you say, "Oh, I'm only gonna be on the app for half an hour, 20 minutes," whatever it is, if you find yourself kinda, like, getting sucked in.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. Thank you for sharing, and thanks for asking your question. I'm glad to hear things are working or you're moving forward. And that's always like a really good sign. What you were saying is like, who was I the other day? And sometimes, like, it's not, you'll see that yourself, you'll feel very different. And then you'll also notice that something in your surroundings looks different when you're changing, especially when you're changing rapidly. You might walk into a restaurant that you go to every day and suddenly notice a painting on the wall that was there the whole time, for example. So look out for those kinds of signs too. Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
How are you? How can I help you?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of update what's going on. And I think I'm meeting guys who are kind of closer to what I want. Like they're meditators, more introspective. Not all of them, but kind of more of that, which is good,
Good.
but they still don't feel like quite the right thing, which
Right. But you're
is,
getting closer. That's a good sign.
I think so, yeah. Um, but I'm noticing a pattern that guys they're not calling me back, and one of them actually called me back. I think it's 10 weeks later now. What is the cutoff limit now?
It's
I forget.
usually about 8 weeks from the last point of contact.
Okay.
If you don't hear from somebody within 8 weeks, then we can go into doing the hi bye letter, or, if you feel okay, you can just kind of write it off.
Well, this has been 10, and he actually did, this particular guy
Okay.
did contact me, I think Monday or Tuesday, and I'm going to meet him Sunday, but we don't have a time. And that's, it's a little irritating to me because I don't reach out and ask, right?
Right.
At
But
all. Like,
maybe when the plan is being made, you could say, what time are you thinking?
well,
Or,
we have the day,
okay. Yeah,
but
I mean, if, look, you can wait to see if he reaches out.
mhm,
That is what I think the first choice is, you know?
okay,
But if you do talk to him and you are seeking clarity, you can ask, what time are you thinking tomorrow?
mhm,
If you have, but I like to step back and see if what he's gonna do,
mhm,
especially since he disappeared for 10 weeks.
mhm,
Let's see what he comes up with. You don't,
yeah,
if you can't make the time that he comes up with, then you can't make the time he comes up with. You'll have to do a different time, you know? I don't
yeah,
think you should, like, put your plans on hold for Sunday.
yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, well, what do I do with
Yeah,
that?
just make your plans for Sunday.
Mhm,
And, if and when he shows up and you can make it, great.
yeah.
If you can't, you can just say, "Oh, okay, well, I actually have a plan at that time. What do you think about Tuesday at 4?" And then you can be really specific, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
But
Oh,
in the making of the plans, sometimes you can sneak in like, "Okay, what time are you thinking?" You know,
yeah.
because then that's still appealing to his masculine because you're asking about his thoughts.
Okay. Can I tell you a little about the other guys?
Yeah, shoot.
Um, so first of all, I just want to say I'm so glad I've been in dating school because I mean it really has bothered me so much less than in the past I would have just been in a tizzy about all these guys like, oh, they are just low quality, like really judgmental. And I'm realizing that's just so much. I've said this before, like such a family trait of mine, being really elitist and perfectionist. And I think really it's covering up, but inside, we have, or at least I do. I know some of my family does at least, like a real um, shame and insecurity, and I'm not good enough. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, it's really so it's been just a lot easier to just be like, yeah, oh well, he's not calling. For the most part. I mean, I still get a little,
Yeah, you're desensitizing.
but I do wonder. So I've had like, I had one date with this guy, and he was like, well, you want to do it again? And I'm like, yeah. Honestly, I don't, like I said, I don't think he's the right match, but I was trying to do my three
Is this the
dates.
guy you emailed me about?
I'm not sure. There's been a number
Okay. Okay.
of um, anyway, I haven't heard from him. So it's been 2 or 3 weeks. And I've actually forgotten about it because I don't sense we're the right match. But if he
Right.
would have called, I would have gone.
Good. Good for you. So
And
what Wendy's
oh,
talking about you guys is duty dating, and that means you go on 3 dates with somebody, even if you don't think you like them that much, because it can take a minute for chemistry to build sometimes, especially for women. And sometimes people don't start off on the best foot on the first date if they're nervous. So you give people a chance that way. It's also a really good opportunity, and I know you've been doing this and I can see the progress, to practice your skills, to practice your tools, to practice your dating. And ultimately everybody has something interesting about them. So,
yeah,
it's like I think I said this last week. It's nice when the nice thing about being single is that you just get to meet a lot of people, even if they don't turn out to be, romantic partners. You meet more people than you do when you're in a couple. Okay, but go ahead, continue. So you were gonna say yes. You said yes, but he
that's,
never actually reached out.
yeah.
Okay. Well, good.
So far, anyway, yeah.
Okay.
So another guy, we had quite a long phone chat, and he was like, "I really like you," and he was going to call me the Friday after the July 4th and to set something up to get together. He really wanted to see me, and then he just never has. So you know, um, like I said, I'm pretty okay with it, but
Mhm.
it does seem like this is happening with most of my dates. I don't remember this happening before, so I'm not sure why that's happening. Is there
Um,
any reason for that?
yeah, I mean, you live in California. People do tend to flake, I think, a little bit more than other places. But this just happens. I mean, you're gonna have the nature of the game is you're gonna have more rejections than you're gonna have connections. And a good example of that is like, even famous actors, famous movie stars will tell you like the very small number of roles that you actually like the proportion of roles that you get offered in terms of in relation to the proportion of roles you've auditioned for, even for top actors, is just really small. So, who knows what happened to him? I wouldn't internalize it. Like, you've been really good about not taking it as like a character assessment, or taking it
Yeah,
personally. Maybe you said something to turn him off. I don't know. I wasn't in the conversation. Maybe you guys aren't just not aligned and he could see that. Maybe he got back together with someone else. I mean, who cares? If he's not reaching
yeah.
out, he's not reaching out, you know.
Well, I remember the guy that I wrote you about. He just hasn't called, so it's fine, really.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. So that resolved itself.
Yeah, because I really, really don't want to.
See him again.
Yeah, and I decided I was gonna let him know.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that's fine too. If you really feel strongly, obviously don't go on the 3 dates. But um, yeah, I mean, as far as this other guy goes, you liked him. You had a nice convo, and he said he was gonna, who knows? He may come back around. That was only July 4th, right? He's got 8 weeks.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's only been what, three?
yeah.
So.
real quick, the last guy, this is the meditator.
Uh-huh.
We met the once and went to temple, and we only chatted like 5 or 10 minutes afterward, and then we actually did meet in the park and had a good time. But so he'll call like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, and say, can I see you today? I'm going to be in town, and so
Oh,
let's
he
kind
doesn't
of,
live in town?
well, he lives about, I don't know, I forget, like 45 minutes away or something,
Oh, okay. Okay.
kind of in the woods, and but he works in town, so he comes here regularly. But
Okay.
um, he's I couldn't meet that day; it was too spontaneous. But he was, I think he kind of wanted me to let him know more ideas. We had a phone call where I told him things I could and couldn't do because of my medical condition. But I think he's still stumped because he said he goes, yeah, I don't know what you can do. And I forget exactly what he said, but I think he said something like, you know, asking me, maybe I could reach out or something like that, but I don't remember exactly what it was.
Um,
So,
so do you want to see him again?
well, again, I don't feel a chemistry. Of course, we only met the one time. I would go if he reached out, but it's
When
like,
was the last time you heard from him? Or you guys talked or texted?
maybe 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
He called because he was in town, right?
Right.
So,
Oh, and you couldn't go. Okay. Well,
yeah,
I mean, there's two ways you can go about it. You can just wait, or you can, if there is something you want to do, you can ask if he will escort you, you know. So, and then he might be, as you say, stumped. I don't know if it was him. I do remember somebody was asking you out and suggesting a couple things, and you were like, "Well, I can't do that, and I can't do
yeah,
that."
that was the guy. But we had a long call where I
Where
explained
you
more.
felt right, but he might not have absorbed all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
And
should
he
I?
was taking notes, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, you could if you want, you could say, you know, I've been invited apart to a party. Do you want to escort me? Or something that you would need an escort for, something that you need help for, say, hey, maybe, I wanted to go on this hike, but they said you shouldn't go alone. What do you think about escorting me or coming with me? Or, you could even say, I need to move a table. Will you be in town anytime soon? Can you help me? Even that.
Won't that sound like I'm kind of using him? I mean, do you think I need to like be a little more like, hey, I thought of something I could do. What do you think of this?
Yeah, you could do that.
Okay.
Would be fine. But, masculine men like to help women in need. So don't
Okay.
don't be afraid of being selfish.
Okay.
Okay?
Alrighty. Thank
Okay.
you.
I look forward to hearing how it goes.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. Any more questions you guys have? Again, you can put them in the chat. You can raise your hand and I'll call on you. I also usually put stuff up on TikTok, and Instagram every day if you guys want to check that out. Um, and if you have questions later, you can email me. If I can answer them quickly, I will. If it's in detail, we can set up a session. Um, so you can do that either through my website, which is, okay, you have questions. Okay. Chloe's Consciousness Training.squarespace.com. So you can always email me through that outlet. Also Instagram. Okay. Hi, Zoom user.
Hi, sorry, I can't change my name. I don't know how. I
Okay.
tried. Sometimes it have the
Is
option
this
that I can
Anna?
change the name. No, this is Alice.
What's
It's
your name?
first time. Alice?
Alice. Okay. Welcome,
Yeah,
Alice.
and it's my first time.
Welcome.
And thank you. And
How
I've
can I
heard
help?
some information, so I would like to know more details. And I have question for my personal
Okay.
situation as well. So for the 8 weeks,
Does that mean 8 weeks without any contact or 8 weeks without seeing each other?
Okay. So the 8 weeks, this is an interval of time that we often see throughout psychology. And the 8 weeks is the average amount of time it takes the heart and the head to argue it out. And that's why we wait 8 weeks from the last time of contact. Um,
Okay.
if you're seeing somebody and things are going well and you're liking him or her, whatever it is, and then suddenly, but it's not official, like you still haven't nailed down the commitment, and then suddenly they drop off, right? This happens to everybody. Suddenly
Mm-hmm.
they drop off. Some people do that. If you want to stay in your feminine energy, it wouldn't be on you to reach out, because the masculine energy is the one that speaks first. The masculine energy sets up the dates, especially in the courting phase. Once you're in the relationship, you can do it like 2 to 1 is a good ratio. And really, I mean, you
What
don't
does 2 to 1 mean?
mean you let him set up 2 dates and then you set up 1 date
Oh,
like
oh,
that.
okay.
Um, but in the courting phase, the masculine energy is the one setting up the date. So if he suddenly drops off and he's not setting up the dates, I mean, sometimes there might be extenuating situation where we would reach out, but overall, we wait 8 weeks to hear from him.
Okay.
If he reaches out within 1 or 2 weeks, he's crazy about you. If it takes a month, well, he likes you, but he has maybe some concerns or other things to handle. Usually, if he reaches out after 8 weeks, he likes you and it's driving him crazy, but he can't stop thinking about you and he has to reach out. So it just has to do with the struggle that's happening within him. Sometimes men will do that, especially if they want to see if you'll chase them, if you'll do the work of the relationship, if you'll come after them. And so that's why I say wait 8 weeks. If after the 8 weeks you haven't heard from him, you do want to hear from him, there's a couple strategies we can employ that will still keep you in your feminine. So that's what's meant
Oh,
by the 8 weeks.
okay. So here's the situation.
Okay.
I'm in process of divorce because my ex of over 20 years of cheating. Um, I consider myself it's in a pool now because we already filed and I know the process can be long. I'm in the phase that just want to meet people, make friends because during the marriage I have no friends at all. Focus my time in the family, children, and my ex.
Right.
Since I don't have any friends and my children are just moved all to college, I'm home alone, which is really lonely. And most of the time, I work from home as well. I just don't have any human interaction, which is really weird at the end of the day because
Yeah,
my
it's
work
really
mostly is
bad for
on.
you. Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
bad for you.
most of the time I work on computer. So if I communicate, you only just text or
Right.
instant message on
Not
those
even a
and
voice.
goes.
Right.
That's right. One time, I noticed this several times now, but there was one day I realized that day the only person I have talked to since I don't even need to go out shopping, the person I talked to was the IT from my company just because something on my computer needs to be fixed. So
Right.
all I have talked to someone is on the phone with IT and like a computer as well. So it feels very weird at the end of the day. And I do make some friends, start from the separation date, but the friends like female, they're either divorced or they have family. But when they divorce, I like to go hiking or walk around. But a lot of female friends, they don't like hiking. So we can't do things together. And I don't drink. They like to drink. So
Right.
we can do things together.
Okay. So first of
So
all, yeah, okay, go ahead. You want to tell me some more?
um
Some ideas
there
for you.
was there's one person reached out to me when I was in the Facebook infidelity group, and his wife, maybe 8 months before my problem, they he also found out cheated. So he reached out to me because I was complaining about the infidelity situation of my
Mm-hmm.
background. And we live 1.5 hours apart, which compared to others may be still close enough to talk to each other. But because it's 1.5 hours away, we don't see each other so often. In the beginning, I went to see his concert. It's because my ex was going out with his mysteries for 3 days weekend. I was really home alone at that time, which just feels frustrating. So I went to his concert. He's a musician, and we talk, but we talk just normal. And later on, after we talked several times, I think he's funny, and he was interested in talking to me as well. And we met about once a month, but we did text and talk uh, regularly, means
Yeah.
once a day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I like his personality, and he liked my personality, so we kind of hit it off. But I because we he has not filed for divorce, I set a boundary like at most we
Yeah.
just hug and see each other and talk only. He agreed.
Oh, he might be working it out with his wife.
Yeah, but
Oh,
according to him, they are planning to divorce as well. But he has not filed several
right.
times. He
That's
talked about it,
always
but
a gray area. That's a very tough
that's
area.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And a lot of people won't date until you're actually divorced. It
I
depends
thought
what
about,
state you're in, how long it takes.
yeah, it. My friends have taken more than 1 or 2 years already, and I just don't mind to make any friends. Originally, when I talked to him, I was not seeking for a boyfriend at all. I
Hmm.
just need someone to talk to. I talked to a lot of friends that are women, and this one happened to be a guy. And he's the only guy that I have talked to, and it's pretty easy to communicate with
So where
him.
does it
And so,
stand now?
so here's what happened. Um, we have been communicating regularly until June. He needs to take kids for a vacation. Only he and his kids. His wife does not travel with him anymore.
Okay, but does
And
he live with
when
his wife?
they live together, because in California the housing is very expensive. That's
Right.
another
Okay.
thing. I don't
Right.
want to date him. I don't
Right.
want to date him, because if they
He
live
lives with
together,
his wife. Yeah.
yeah. My
I
ex
agree with
used
you.
to my ex used to live in the house as well, but we're in different rooms. They don't have extra rooms, so
Oh,
they still
okay.
even
Yeah.
in the same room. Then
Yeah,
that's
that's too
even
much, I
worse.
think, for
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, but I was thinking talking is fine, right? And I talked to my
Yeah,
therapist, and
but
the therapist said, yeah,
you don't want to get overcommitted to just him right now.
that's right, that's right.
Ideally, you're talking to three people because
Ah,
one, we tend to overcommit before we're committed. Two, it becomes an either or. So three kind of balances it out. So it's okay to keep talking to him. I wouldn't let things for your own sake, for your own vulnerability. Um, Women often get bonded during sexual intercourse. It doesn't always happen, but it often happens. That's oral, anal, or vaginal. So I would stay away from that for the time being with him because he's not really available.
that's what I told him. He's not
Okay.
available.
Right. But you can
Uh,
still be friends and you can still be talking, but I want you to also be exploring and looking for and talking to other men as well.
okay.
Okay.
And about 6 months after we talked, he was in mentioning sex, and I say, no, you're not available, and I don't want to
Oh, you mentioned
have
sex?
sex.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, men are gonna ask for sex even if they know they don't deserve it. So,
yeah. Also, 6 months already. I think. Well, it's he waited enough to ask.
right.
I know Alice usually asks maybe even first time or 3 months, and some women say, "Oh, wait 3 months," and he already waits 6 months. So I don't blame him.
It's not really about the amount of time. What you want to get before you have intercourse is the commitment. So,
That's right.
that means
Well, there are
you're
some people like
exclusive.
friend with benefit, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't think you're a good, just from talking tonight, I don't think you're a good candidate for that. That's a hard one to, sometimes it works, maybe with an ex, but I don't think you're in that mode right now. So I would just avoid that. Try to meet other
Okay.
people. I'm a little worried about you being home all day. I want to make sure that you're going outside at least once a day. If
I
it's,
do go out for a walk. However, people, when you walk, you don't talk to people either. So even though I go out, get fresh air, or sometimes go shopping, but I don't interact with human being, which is weird.
right. So try to increase that. Um, Somebody wrote here, Wendy wrote, get new lady friends through Meetup. That's a possibility. But think
I got
about
female
places,
friends as well.
right. Well, in terms of flirting and meeting men, I'm going to give you an assignment. Okay, so first
Okay.
of all, you've heard a little bit of what I've said. In your intimate relationships, do you want to have your feelings cherished or your thoughts respected? Which is more important to you?
Cherished.
Okay, so that's the feminine energy. So I'm going
Mm.
to tell you how to flirt, and you're going to be doing these flirts 5 days a week. 4 of those flirts are going to be in the course of doing your day. And, if you're ordering everything online, stop doing that. Go out and go shopping. See who you meet. See who you run into. Maybe get a dog. Maybe learn how to play golf or pickleball. I have clients learning sports, getting dogs just to meet partners. Um, Whatever you decide, but 4 days a week in the course of your day, which will have to be outside your house, if you see somebody who you like the look of, who you're attracted to, you're going to give him 5 seconds of eye contact and a smile at the same time. Okay? If that's your signal to the other person that he can
Sorry, can you
approach.
repeat that one more time because I was reading the chat, so I missed that
Oh,
part.
okay.
The last sentence.
You're gonna get 5 seconds of you're gonna give 5 seconds of
Oh,
eye contact and a smile if you see someone you like. That's your
okay.
signal to him that he can approach. Now, one
Mm.
day a week, you're gonna plant yourself somewhere, whether it be a coffee shop across the street from the fire station, whether it be a museum cafe, whether it be, outside a restaurant, by your workout place, whatever it is, you're going to plant yourself for 45 minutes to an hour. You're going to go alone because it is easier to meet people when you're alone. And then if somebody catches your fancy, you can give them the eye contact and the smile, and you're seated so they can approach, they can talk to you. And if you go to the same place regularly, sometimes that works in your favor because people get to know you. It's kind of, under lower stress than having to ask you out over and over again for dates. Um, but you can play with it, see where you're more comfortable, see where you have luck. And doing those 5 flirts, you will meet people. I promise you. I had a
Mm.
client who was like, okay, just tell me the flirts. I'm not sure if I'm going to do them. And she started doing them. She was like, oh my God, I'm really meeting people. Like, I don't even know if I'm ready to meet this many people.
Do you have page that I can just revisit instead because I didn't take notes, but
Oh,
I
it's
think they're
okay. Well, this recording will be available.
oh
I'll put
okay.
my collateral into the chat again. But you can hear this again on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. But I've also written 4 books on this work. All of them are on Amazon. But the first book has all about the 5 flirts and the duty dating. It has all the basics in it. That's called How to Live, Find, Love, and Keep It. But those are on Amazon. So if you go and look at that, that's the one with the pink cover. That it will be there as well. So you don't need
Oh,
to take
will
it.
the example I gave you be recorded and others can hear it?
Yes.
Oh,
But I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about that. People, just you didn't say anything identifying. So you didn't even say your last name.
Okay.
We've knock
Okay.
on wood, I've never had a problem. But this is how people
Okay.
learn, is by listening, and by hearing from other people. And we have so much more in common with each other than we think. And so it's really helpful for people to be able to hear these things over and over again.
Okay. So I will continue the story. So in
Okay.
June,
Is there more?
I just want to clarify what
Yes.
is going on. So he have the children to the travel, and during the travel, there's no more contact, very little. Sometimes I reach out, ask how's everything. Sometimes he asks questions, but very minimal. And then I can understand that's with children, but or traveling. But when
Right.
he traveled before, sometimes he did text, and even after he come back, he didn't text that much either. Sometimes reach out. So it reduced significantly, and recently, after a few days, there's no contact. And I didn't reach out either because I think since I have said that we should have the boundary, and I feel guilty to talk to him so much, kind of flirty, because he's still in marriage and he's in gray period for a while, and
Right.
they haven't decided to divorce.
Yeah. Don't reach out
So,
to him. Just let
so
him
I
reach out to you.
okay, so I stopped reach out too. So, but I noticed that it reduced significantly, although he is in the process of retiring from one place and look for a new place to work for. But anyway, so
Okay.
there was
Well,
change in career.
oh, okay. So he's going through a lot. So he might not have a lot to give right now.
Okay,
I would just wait for him to reach out. And when he
okay,
reaches out, don't give him shit, be available to his leadership. If you want to see him, see him. Don't guilt him or anything like that. You guys aren't, in an official relationship.
that's right. That's what
So,
I explained
yeah.
to myself.
So just be
We're
happy
not
when he reaches out again. I'm sure he will.
okay.
I really think he will, from what you're saying. People are patterns, so most likely he'll reach out again.
Okay.
Okay, well, let me
I
know
saw
how.
him. I saw him because when people are on Facebook, they will have if others visit something or have friends
Yeah,
something, you have recommendation to you
right.
as well. I saw him was um was following plenty of fish. So,
Right. Right. Good observation.
but recently I don't see anymore. I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
what's going on.
Okay, well, we'll see what
So
happens.
I'm fine because we are not in relationship. So it's fine. He get on whatever. Oh, by the way, I don't want to get on the app either because my ex has been on apps, dating apps, even though he has been with his mysteries all this year. I noticed the last year I went through his phone, I saw him was on dating app. I was thinking, hey,
God.
if
Well, he
you are
was
with
still
your
with you.
mysteries, why are
Jeez.
you on dating app?
Right. He sounds
But
like a prize.
because
Well,
he's on
that's
dating app,
fine.
I don't want to went through with him, so I don't get on
Right.
dating app. And I don't like dating apps.
Okay, we'll start with the in-person flirts.
Okay.
Those work better anyway. Okay, I'm gonna move
Okay.
on. I do want to hear
Thank you.
your update, and if you want to set an appointment, reach out to me through my website. We can get more into it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome. Okay, I see a bunch of chats here, but I noticed that Valentino had a question. Valentino, are you there? No, maybe he's not there anymore. Okay. Well, if you do have a question, Valentino, raise your hand again. Okay, I'm single. This is from Michelle. I'm single, don't drink, like hiking, 49, but I probably live far. I sometimes travel to LA, Sequoias, etc., belong to hiking groups. What that means, feelings cherished, thoughts respected. Okay. Oh, good, Wendy. Wendy said, thanks for the encouragement not to give up on reaching out to women friends. Yes. It's awkward, but it's worth it. Yes. I did it and it worked. Okay. Rochelle, I'm unmuting you. I'm asking you to unmute. Are you there? Okay. Well, I'll try to answer your questions anyway. Feelings cherished or thoughts respected. Okay, so the reason that I asked Alice if she wanted her feelings cherished or her thoughts respected is because one is the feminine energy and one is the masculine energy. And you don't have to do this all the time, but in awkward situations like first dates and certainly in conflicts, it really helps to know which is more important to you and which is more important to your partner so that you don't get into a power struggle. That means one person, when there's in a conflict, is going to lead with their feelings, and one person in a conflict is going to lead with their thoughts. Here, I'll try again. The problem is if you come across with your thoughts and feelings at once, which everybody wants to do, it's technically an act of narcissism because the other person has nowhere to go. You're a 10, they're a 0. That's a codependent relationship. I don't teach those relationships. Okay. So we do this complementary communication, which means that one person occupies the feminine and one person occupies the masculine. Now, sometimes I have a couple who is almost equally feminine and masculine. So my rule for that is if you start with a feeling, then your partner responds with a thought and vice versa. And again, this is mostly for conflicts and awkward situations like first dates. So that's what's meant by thoughts and feelings. Thoughts respected. If you want that most, that's the masculine energy. If you want your feelings cherished most in your intimate relationships, that's the feminine or yin energy. Okay. I'm trying to unmute you. Your other question is this. Okay, I'm asking you to unmute. So it should allow you to do that, but okay. Plenty of fish. I don't know as well. Most of my clients are on Match, Bumble, or Hinge. So those tend to be the most popular that my clients like. Okay. Oh yeah. And Rochelle's also saying she belongs to hiking groups. Right. So we talked about this before. The Sierra Club is a good, could be a good resource for you, Alice, because they do hiking groups and they do a lot of single hikes. Okay. Okay. I'll try you one more time, Rochelle. Ask to unmute. No, maybe you have to do it like within the time that I'm asking. Okay, I'm pressing now. Can you unmute? No. Okay. Okay, one last question. Sophia.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
I was reflecting on the topic of you can't really heal unless well, you can't heal in a very good way unless you're in a relationship.
Right. It's hard to feel
And
outside that.
yeah, what I know I'm super big on attachment style, but is there like um would you recommend looking for someone with a specific attachment style? Like, should I go, since I'm primarily like anxiously attached, should I go for like another anxiously attached person or like doesn't really matter as long as we like jive?
I'm glad you asked this question because this is like really hitting the root of the matter with the confusion around attachment style. So whatever your attachment style is now, everybody's going for a secure attachment style. Okay? So that's what
Mhm.
you want. You want to move towards secure attachment yourself, and you want to find a partner who's securely attached. Now, oftentimes somebody with an anxious attachment style gets attached to somebody with an avoidant attachment style, because that's the origin of their scripts. You know, we talked about scripting and childhood trauma at the beginning. So when you do that, it recreates some kind of script from childhood. And then you guys get locked in kind of an unworkable situation, right? Because one person's anxious and one person's avoidant. So ideally, what you want is for both people to be secure, and you want to be going towards secure attachment style. Now, just since you've been in this group, I see that you're developing into a more confident and secure woman. So yes, you may have anxious attachment style, and that may be your tendency, but by changing your behavior and slowing down some of your reactions, you can stop acting in a way that reinforces an anxious attachment style, taking a counteraction so that you're exhibiting a more secure or confident attitude. And then that will start to become, over time, over repetition, that's where the work is. But then that will start to replace the anxious attachment style, and you will become more confident and more secure. And again, a lot of that comes from cherishing your feelings and respecting your own thoughts. And then once you know what those things are, taking actions or inactions based on them. Does that make sense? Okay. She thumb stepped it. Okay. Alice, I'm seeing these questions about attachment styles. I'm not going to get into a whole description of that, but there is a lot of scholarship out there about attachment style. And the work I do basically is meant to provoke you into more confidence, a higher self-esteem, um, by taking counteractions against your scripts or against the injunctions of your childhood. So some of the things that we talked about in the beginning about being coping mechanisms or strategies you adopted that at one time helped you, that now at this time no longer serve you. So further understanding those things, and again, just like I said to Sophia, working on becoming aware of your feelings, becoming aware of your thoughts, and then taking actions or inactions in that regard. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up now. Thanks you guys for coming. I'm gonna put in the chat one more time my credentials. If you guys want to meet up or talk during the week, we can do that. You can check out my social. You can reach out to me through my website. And if I don't hear from you, then I will see you back on this room Thursday night. And I look,
Chloe,
yes.
Rochelle wanted to repeat, can you repeat where you're gonna post the recordings?
Oh, yeah. And it's here in the chat. You can find it on YouTube. I also have the link for Apple Podcast, but you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. It's Chloe with Love and Relationships. So thank you, Raul. Okay, well, if I don't hear from you, I will see you back here in this room. Thanks for coming.